I'm Jake Yormak. I graduated from NYU Law in 2013. I'm now the managing partner and founder at Story Ventures, which is a pre-seed and seed stage venture capital fund focused on data technologies.
I'm Nick Goss. I'm the COO and co-founder of Parallel Markets. Parallel Markets is a technology company that eases the frictions in investing online.
When I started at Cravath, I remember pretty clearly feeling, even from the first day, that that wasn't the right place for me to be. I didn't want to be a practicing lawyer, I realized. One of my colleagues at Cravath had moved to a law firm called Gunderson Detmer, and Gunderson focused exclusively on startup technology companies. So I did end up interviewing there, and I took a job there. And I thought at the time that it was a transition step, which it was. It was a transition to understanding not how a $20 billion merger happens or how a company goes public, but like how could a friend of mine start a company someday. So I was there for another year and a half, and during that time, I was thinking deeply about what it was I really wanted to do. I started the phone with my brother, Brian, what Brian and I saw was happening in the world and how we wanted to invest in that world. There were almost no funds in the city that were doing what we wanted to do. And so we set out to raise a small first fund, and that was the beginning of it.
I enjoyed being a lawyer. I actually enjoyed the practice of big law. My biggest complaint about it was just that the hours were insane. I was working until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning almost every single night, and my thought process was much more along the lines of, if I'm going to be doing this work, then I want to have sort of the larger upside, right? And so my meandering path actually was more a route of like, all right, how do I get closer to the client side of this thing? I want to be on like the business side of this thing, right? So that was how I ended up switching into investment banking, which I then realized was actually very similar to the practice of law, in that you're in the services industry, you are sort of doing these repeat things over and over again. For me, once I was leaving that investment banking job to go start my own company, the thought process echoes Jake's almost perfectly, which is, in my mind, worst case scenario, I'd eat through all of my savings. I'm broke, but in 18 months, I will learn a lot more. And if I can't get a better job than the one that I have now, based on 18 months of trying to build something from nothing, then that's on me. I'll take the initial stab, and then Jake can say it more eloquently, I'm sure. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah. I think that lawyers are uniquely situated, whether it's commercial contract negotiation or an underwriting agreement in an IPO or whatever it is. Just the familiarity with that language and sort of like how these things are structured is a very powerful and wonderful tool, particularly in the startup world.
The other side of it is like, what are the personality traits and or like what are the soft skills that people with legal education and or professional experience can bring to the table. When we invest in founders, we look for a lot of things, obsessiveness around details. So that's one aspect that you definitely are taught both as a law student and as a lawyer. And the other part of it is a willingness to like challenge the status quo. Especially as a law student, you're taught to question everything. It's the willingness to question things that can lead you to come up with a great idea. But it's also that willingness or almost like need to question things that will protect your company. So it's like the critical thinking skills of law school and being a lawyer that I think can be very valuable.
The largest reassurance that I can give anybody who's interested in starting their own company, if you're able to do it, if you're able to put 12 months in, 18 months in, the opportunities that are going to come your way are going to be much better than anything that you would have possibly imagined.
And you'll be way better at whatever it is you do.
100%.